So let's talk pre-season. It's been an interesting one with many ups and downs. We've not quite got the transfer business done that Paul Warne probably wanted, but it is going to be interesting to see how it does develop over the course of the start of the season. Now, obviously, Derby County have played 6 games of pre-season. We've faced Matlock Town, Stockport County, Shrewsbury Town, Chesterfield, Barnsley and Reaal Valladolid. Now, it hasn't all been plain sailing for Paul Warne. It hasn't all been plain sailing for the players or the fans. So, shall we get into talking all about it? But before we do that, make sure you've hit that subscribe button down below and turned on that notification bell to stay tuned for whenever I drop my next latest video. The next one coming out tomorrow is going to be a preview of August's fixtures for Derby County, and then the match previews are going to be heading out for game week 1 and for League 1 and Championship. So make sure you've got the notification bell so you know when that does drop. But let's get into the next video. Now, Derby County started off pre-season really well with a 3-0 win over Matlock Town, and Derby looks really good with some players coming back from the wilderness to impress, like Tyrese Forner. We also saw a new man in the name of Alex Stepan Iumene, and he put in a really good performance. We haven't seen Stepan Iumene since, which is a bit of an issue, but I do think he's going to be with the under-21 squads to start off the season. Tyrese Forner has battled injury since that game and only recently made his return versus Reaal Valladolid. Now, the 3-0 win was a really good performance, and I have done match reviews of all of these games. So if you want to go and check out my instant reaction, you can go back and do that. So obviously, early doors in the Matlock game, I thought we looked really good. Caden Jackson looked bright. Jerry Yates looked good. And it was a really good performance. Now, obviously, going into Stockport, they spent the week in Spain. We lost Jake Rooney for rumoured to be 4 months, but there's a few people saying it may be 6 to 8 weeks instead. So it's going to be an interesting one. But the Stockport game was one where the players weren't really ready. And obviously, if you look at it a bit more closely, the players were knackered. It was a very difficult game for both sides, but we came away with the 1-0 win. A Sonny Bradley goal really late on. I believe it was 1-0. It might not have been, but I believe it was 1-0 right at the end. And it was a really... for me, I thought it was a good performance. I thought there was some bright sparks in that game. I thought Kane Wilson was good. I thought Liam Thompson was quite good. Who else played that day? Obviously, Mendes Lang putting in a shift. So it's one of those for me where we've had some really good performances over pre-season, but we've also had some dismal ones. Now, we take a look at Chesterfield away. Obviously, a 4-0 thumping. Now, you look at the last 2 goals, look at the players that were on the pitch. It's not really something we're going to have to worry about for this championship campaign. But it is something that we do need to look at because it shows that the goalkeeper area needs work. Obviously, Luthra, still on trial, was on the bench on Saturday, hasn't been given a professional contract by Derby County, but obviously that could still happen. He could be the 3rd man to run around with the squad here, there and everywhere, give himself a bit of experience with some top-end coaches and top-end goalkeepers. But I think that Chesterfield game really showed that Derby County were a bit fragile. Then obviously the Shrewsbury game, losing 2-1. I think both of those games, though, came off the back of double sessions. So looking at it and putting in all the context, it was expected. But it's one of those for me where it's interesting to see how Paul Warne and his staff have dealt with it. Now, I don't think they'll be heading back to Spain based on comments Paul Warne has made, because I don't think they got the work done that they thought they were going to get done because of the weather. Obviously, I think at times it was touching like 35, 36 degrees out there while I was there, and it's difficult to be able to get done what you need to get done at the times you need to get it done in that sort of heat, because you've obviously got player safety and welfare to think about, because you can't be running about at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in 37 degree heat in blazing sunshine. It just is never going to end well for anybody. Now, obviously, Derby County have picked up a few little knocks along the way. Forner picked up a knock early doors. I think Paul Warne said after Reaal Valladolid, that he'd only trained twice since that game. Kind of Washington, sort of been in and around it, but not really. He obviously played yesterday, 2 days ago, whenever you watch this video. Obviously, we've then got to look at the likes of Jake Rooney, who's picked up a big one. Joe Ward has fluid on his knee again. So it's been a bit of a difficult pre-season. Now, the Barnsley game was a much better improvement, but we still had the defensive sloppiness, and that's the sort of thing that can't happen this season. We can't have those defensive lapses that cost you wins, essentially, cost you points. And I do think we're going to be in a relegation scrap, and that's why those defensively we've got to be solid, because otherwise that's going to be the difference between relegation and mid-table, in my opinion. If you can be defensively solid, you can get 46 points. Now, last season, that sends you down. But if you can get 46 points, I pretty much think you can stay up most years. I think last year was near enough a season high for the relegation teams. I think the highest is like 54, 55. I want to say it's Peterborough. You can correct me down in the comments. But obviously Birmingham 50 last year, and they were the last team to get relegated. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one obviously plays out over the course of the season. I am obviously hoping that Derby County aren't in that scrap. But based on some defensive displays we've seen, there is a potential. Now, I thought the Barnsley game on an attacking sense was so much better. We reverted to a 4-3-3, and I thought we've found the group that works. Not necessarily in the Barnsley game. I don't think we played this 3 in the Barnsley game, but in the Valladolid game, certainly. If you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below or in this top corner. Stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County and EFL Championship and League One content that is heading your way over the course of the upcoming season. We've got Game Week 1 match previews coming out this week, as well as a Derby County versus Blackburn preview. So make sure you've hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to stay tuned for when those videos drop. And I'll catch you in the next part of this video. We found our midfield 3 because we started hitting on the counter against Barnsley. We started winning the ball high when they'd built out and they got themselves on the halfway line. I think Barkhazen's cross for Collins came from winning the ball high up. You've then obviously got like some of the other opportunities created throughout that game. We looked really, really good in an attacking output. And that's going to be interesting to see how that develops over the course of this season, because obviously the more and more players play together, the more partnerships and connections that they're going to build. We obviously saw last season Kane Wilson and Nathaniel Mendez-Lang built up a really good connection down that right-hand side. It obviously then coincided with losing Ryan Niambi, but it worked. Joe Ward and Wilson built a slight partnership over their period of games together. So it's going to be interesting to see how it progresses over the course of the season, especially with the front 3. I don't think we're done yet in terms of a striker. I think, and even a winger. Obviously, if you've seen my video from yesterday, we are chasing Karamoko Dembele. It's going to be an interesting one to see how that develops. Obviously, I'm hoping at the point you've seen this video, I'm recording this on Sunday, but I'm hoping when this video goes live, we'll have some news on Jakub Zetterstrom. If we do, there'll probably be a video about it, so make sure you check out the channel for that one. But it is going to be a difficult season, and the Valladolid game shows where we're going to benefit. In the first half, where it was tippy-tappy football, holding the ball, creating chances, I think they were the better side. I think it was an even game, but I think they were the better side. If you go into the second half when it became more of a physical test, more of a fitness test, in my opinion, I think we got the edge. I thought Kane Wilson was excellent. I thought the midfield trio of David Ozzo, Kenzo and Ben Osborne was absolutely incredible. I think there's a couple of positions still up for grabs, mainly the number 9 role. Obviously for the first 3 games, I think Jerry Yates takes that as soon as he's back from suspension. But I think the 9 role for those 3 games, I think who's playing left and right, I think that's up for debate. I think left back is a position up for debate. Oh, and to be fair, you could probably say right back, because is Niambi going to play at right back, or is it going to be Wilson? Is Wilson going to find a way into that front 3? All of these things I'm going to cover in my Blackburn preview video, which is going to come out on Wednesday evening, so make sure you've hit the subscribe button for that one. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a really, really interesting test, the start of this season. I thought the Valladolid test was probably more what we're going to face this year over the course of the season. I think there's a lot more possessional-based teams in the Championship than obviously in League One, where you have a lot of physical tests. And I think we're really going to see what Paul Warne is made of in this season, because if he can start to tactically work with these boys and tactically outclass oppositions, it's going to really change a lot of people's perceptions. I know, I think it's the second tier pod have put together sort of their reasons why they think he's going to be the first manager sacked this season. And I don't necessarily disagree with the points they've made, but I also think at Rotherham he never had what he's got at Derby County. Now, do I think we're in an ideal, optimal position as I sit here today? No. I don't think we have everything he wants. I don't think we have everything we need to stay in the division. But I do think we have a squad capable of it. Obviously, the additions will make it more comfortable. But for me, there's still a long way to go in this transfer window. And if we can make it to January within touching distance of survival, I think we definitely have a chance. And I think Paul Warne has a chance. But it's going to be interesting because he quite easily could be on the chopping block early. But then you also look at it as, if Derby County go down, who's the best man to get us back up? Paul Warne. So you're sort of in a catch-22 of, you get rid of Warne to bring somebody else in, still could potentially go down. So it's a very interesting one. It's a shake-up which people haven't really thought about yet. So I obviously, right now, I've got my full backing on Paul Warne, my full backing on the squad. I think we're going to do a really good job this season. I do think we're going to survive. I think it's going to be close, but I do think we'll survive. It's going to be interesting to see how it develops, interesting to see how the squad develops over the course of the season. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts on pre-season down in the comments. What sort of things do you want to see heading into the start of the season? Now, obviously, a lot has gone on in pre-season. And now we're heading towards the real deal. It kicks off on Friday at 8 p.m. at Ewood Road. I believe it's on Sky TV. So make sure, if you haven't got a ticket, you do watch the game. You keep up to date with everything that's going on with Derby County over the course of the next week. And if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts about pre-season and the upcoming fixtures down in the comment section. And I'll catch you in my next video. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football weekend.